Ben, thank you so much for sparing time.
Thank you.
We are so honored and delighted that you took a huge role of becoming the chairman of Global Loyalty Organization in the beginning this year. Thank you from the bottom of the heart.
Pleasure.
Okay. You know us for 3 years, and you've been one of the earliest supporters of GLO from the beginning. What did excite you and motivate you in the first place about the idea of global loyalty as association and organization of like-minded professionals?
I think it's what you've just said. Actually, I think it brings together a bunch of like-minded professionals. I think loyalty, in my experience, is a relatively niche industry. It's something that many customers and members around the world, they're members of dozens or hundreds of loyalty programs, but there's not often a platform or a circle or a community for loyalty leaders to connect and to discuss and to network. And I think the fact that you've been able to develop that kind of community to bring together a lot of people who work in this space is really facilitates a lot of the conversations and exposes a lot of the same issues that we all face, even if we work for competing companies.
I find it that loyalty professionals and loyalty ecosystem, it unites people not only from different sectors, and that's what the GLO was about. It's actually to bring airlines and hotels and retail and fuel stations together. But it also requires multiple knowledges: marketing, technical knowledge, finance, loyalty accrual. What do you think is the biggest challenges and pitfalls that the loyalty as an ecosystem faces today? Where should the loyalty focus, and where is potential uplift?
I think it depends on who you ask. It depends on the industry. I mean, I can speak from an airline perspective. I think sometimes there's an ongoing debate internally. How do we measure the financial impact of this financial success of the loyalty program? I can speak for Air France KLM. My role is in Flying Blue, where we tell the team we have two KPIs. We have two metrics that we look at. One is the direct revenue. One is the indirect revenue. Direct revenue is easy to quantify. It's how many miles do we sell to partners? What is the revenue that we generate from that? And I think speaking to our CFO or to our board, I mean, it's relatively easy to explain that we generate X hundreds of millions or billions in selling miles to partners. I think where the challenge tends to be is really explaining the indirect revenue. And that's the revenue that airlines, hotel programs, or any other business unit is able to generate in an incremental way, thanks to those loyalty programs. So in other words, how much more business can I, as a loyalty program, generate for the airlines in my company? And I think that's requires a lot more analysis. It requires us to dig a little deeper. And I think that explanation sometimes is a little bit harder to explain, and sometimes harder to accept from our colleagues in finance or in revenue management or those kinds of things. And that's where like I said, bringing together a lot of loyalty leaders. I mean, we all struggle with the same challenge. So learning from each other and finding a way to kind of leverage that communal knowledge to be able to explain it internally to help kind of fight the internal battles that we all have to deal with has been really helpful.
Amazing. And that's that's with your hat of the head of loyalty organization. Yeah. And if I kindly ask you to put the hat of the chairman of the kind of association which unites cross sectors, cross multiple opportunities, where are the biggest pitfalls? Where should the industry, as an industry, focus? Is it on getting everybody on the same kind of terminology, or a little bit more regulation and fundamentals, or it's building up partnerships, or it's educating the teams, or it's actually more meetups and conferences?
Some of the ways that I think we as a loyalty industry will be able to go further is educating both customers as well as the companies in which we work to really understand the benefits and the power that loyalty brings. I think from a consumer psychology perspective, I look at this as rewarding customers for choosing us, right? And how do I essentially, as a loyalty marketer, how can I convince them to act emotionally? How can I convince them to choose us over a competitor because they want their points or they want their status or whatever it is? And I think once we can all agree that that's really what we're trying to do, just like ad campaigns are there to try to help show off our hard products or something like that. I think it will really help us go further, both in educating consumers how to the best way to maximize these miles, maximize their points, which then makes them hungry to come back for more, which really is ultimately what we want. That's how our ecosystem will continue to turn. And then internally helps us prove the value and the ROI on the investment that we ask for.
Love your answer. We will continue our work in research insights and bringing the partners together.
Great.
Look forward to catch up.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.